Okay, you guys have asked for it, and here it is. We're about to start production season 4. Clack!
Okay, ding dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Ice and Fire here, and welcome to the channel. It's been quite a while since we've received any new information on the filming for Season 4 of From. I know many of us are waiting with bated breath for the first teaser trailer to eventually drop, and hopefully it does soon, but now at least we have some new concrete information directly from the cast and crew that not only gives us a better timeline as to when we can expect From to hit our screens, but also some new information pointing to a new monster joining the cast in Season 4. And judging by its description, it appears to be something different than anything we have ever seen on the show up until this point. Thanks to an all-new casting call that has been released, we now know that From is looking to cast a Colonial woman for Season 4. But it appears they're not looking for just any old Colonial woman, they're looking for something very specific. The description for the casting call states that they're looking for an actor for a non-speaking role, which needs to be a female, 60 years of age or older, and Caucasian, with the character description of which they'll be playing described as gaunt, ghastly, terrifying, and dead. And seeing as the casting call specifically notes that it needs to be a new face entirely, someone who has never been an extra on the show before, it looks like this is likely going to be a new monster that is going to be very prominent in Season 4. And based on the Colonial woman attire, we could potentially be getting some sort of flashback next season as well, either through Jade and Tabitha remembering something from their previous lives, or potentially even through Julie's new story-walking ability. After all, given how we left things at the end of Season 3, it is highly likely that Julie will be experimenting a lot more with her story-walking abilities, in hopes of getting control of it, especially after learning of the death of Jim. And speaking of other time periods, there is also a possibility of seeing this character through the POV of Jade or Tabitha. After the massive revelation of Jade and Tabitha finding out that they are reincarnated versions of two of the original parents who participated in the Onkui child sacrifice, one would naturally assume that the next step would be the two of them trying to find out a little bit more about that original timeline and their original selves, something that we could hopefully see through a flashback of sorts. And then, of course, there's also the possibility of this new Colonial woman monster appearing in our current timeline and not being in any flashbacks at all. After all, she is described as ghastly, gaunt, and dead, which could easily mean that we might only see her in current events, similar to how we saw the kimono creature in Season 3. And just like how the man in yellow was foreshadowed on the show through a painting before he actually appeared, we also potentially have some foreshadowings of Colonial woman paintings down in that basement as well, with one of them potentially being a representation of this new monster we're going to see. But either way, regardless of whether or not we see this new monster in a flashback or in the current timeline, it certainly seems that it's going to be something we've never seen on the show before, and I'm looking forward to seeing what role it's going to potentially play. We've also received an interesting filming update and a very cryptic post from cast member Ricky He, in which he announced that the final lap of filming has begun, along with attaching several cryptic images to the post. But first, starting off with the final lap of filming statement, along with the recent casting call that we have gotten calling for a Colonial woman whose filming would be set for the week of November 10th, it seems that November might be their final month of shooting. And if that's the case, it gives us a more accurate timeline as to when we can expect to see Season 4 on our screens. While MGM has been aiming for an early 2026 release, it's looking like it might not be as early as we originally thought. While many were hoping for a January or February release, based on this new information, it looks like we are most likely not going to get From Season 4 before March or April. If the series is still filming well into November, as the casting call states, along with post-production and whatever time they might need for reshoots, I think it's much more realistic that the show won't be hitting our screens before March. And on top of the filming news, there are also some interesting photos attached to the post as well, some of which are simply the cast enjoying some downtime, and others that are a little more cryptic. And based on Ricky He's history of teasing us with certain images that will be pertaining to the show, there are some interesting correlations that some of these more cryptic photos point to regarding From. Starting with this first image of a famous scene from the film Home Alone, in which Macaulay Culkin's character is outside screaming, "I'm not afraid anymore," which I think could potentially be pointing to Kenny's character believing that he has nothing left to fear now that his parents are no longer with him. After all, throughout the series, one of Kenny's main purposes has been to protect his family. And while the death of both of his parents has certainly devastated him, it may have also freed him in a sense to where he feels he has nothing left to lose, which in turn gives him less to fear. Although I ultimately believe that this could potentially be a false sense of security that Kenny is going to be feeling at the beginning of the season, a realization that he might come to learn later on. After all, when looking at that scene from Home Alone, it is the picture-perfect example of someone having a false sense of security. At first, Macaulay Culkin's character is out there screaming that he's not afraid, yet the second he sees someone approaching him from the street, he instantly runs back inside in fear, proving his lack of fear was a false sense of security, which is something I could easily see Kenny going through in Season 4 as well. There's also another interesting image that appears to be a diner sign spelling out "Soup is back on the menu," which is most likely a wink and a nod to the diner reopening in Season 4. And maybe we'll even see tomato soup on the menu in the actual show. But next, we also have this interesting shot from the film In the Mood for Love, in which a man and woman begin to fall in love, only to break it off as they don't want to be unfaithful to their spouses, which certainly parallels Christy and Kenny's relationship being broken off when Marielle arrives, as Christy doesn't want to be unfaithful to her partner. But the last, and in my opinion, the most profound image that I like to discuss is this incredibly cryptic painting by Jan Majenko. Created in 1862, the painting is entitled "Stansic During the Ball at the Court of Queen Bona in the Face of the Loss of Smolensk," or more commonly referred to by its shorter title, Stansic. Stansic himself was a court jester in Poland during 1514, who stumbled upon some devastating knowledge that made Stansic the only one aware of the country's impending doom. The painting depicts the jester lost in thought, sitting alone in deep contemplation as the rest of the ball goes on behind him, showing the unique contrast between the oblivious revelry taking place in the ballroom compared to Stansic being the sole individual consumed by the weight of the nation's misfortune. And with Stansic being the only one with this knowledge, comes a heavy burden, a position that some of our own characters in Fromville share at the end of Season 3, starting with none other than Boyd himself. At the end of the season, we see Boyd down in the tunnels as he is confronted with the knowledge of Smiley's rebirth, knowledge that up until this point, only he alone knows, which could potentially place a major burden on his shoulders as to whether or not to share this with the rest of the town. Similar to Stansic, Boyd is currently the only one with this devastating knowledge of Smiley's rebirth, knowledge that will go on to fundamentally change Fromville entirely, as now he is presented with the somber truth that fighting against the monsters is going to be a lot tougher than they originally realized, with them seemingly having the ability to be brought back from death, presenting Boyd with the choice of keeping it secret and keeping hope alive for the town that the monsters can be defeated, or presenting them with the somber truth.
This didn't have to happen, you know. Back up. The knowledge comes with a cost.
And now Boyd is going to have to figure out whether or not he's willing to pay it. But overall, I really enjoy the parallels between Stansic and Boyd here, with both of them uncovering devastating knowledge and contemplating whether or not to share it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what choice Boyd will ultimately make. And then, of course, there's the final aspect of the painting that I believe will also be paralleling Season 4 of From as well, that being the comet flying overhead that you can see outside of the window, which, in the context of the painting, represents the impending doom that the nation is about to face, as comets are often meant to depict bad omens of things to come, which I believe is going to be echoed in Season 4 of From as well. With there only being 2 seasons remaining, I believe Season 4 is going to be their darkest season yet, where they not only have to face their biggest obstacles, but also suffer their biggest losses on the show thus far, with the 5th and final season being their last chance to ultimately triumph, but not before the cast is left devastated by the events of Season 4. But there we have it, folks. Some of the latest news coming out of From Season 4 regarding an all-new monster that we'll be getting this season, and a better timeline as to when we can expect Season 4 hitting our screens. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on your way out and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our upcoming From content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and a huge thank you to all the channel members. And keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.
Okay, you guys have asked for it, and here it is. We're about to start production Season 4. Clack!
Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.